Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Al-Shai, Shalom, Kakodah, Shalom to the 144,000 rest of you elect out there, Shalom to you all. And I'm going to try to make this quick. I'll make this relatively quickly to see where the Spirit leads me, as I always say. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, The Gentiles in the New Testament are Israelites. What I mean by that is, when you come across the word Gentile, heathen, sometimes it'll speak about actual Gentiles and heathens, and most times it's talking about when it has something to do with blessings or the coming kingdom, or coming up under the Messiah, or believing in the Messiah. When it's talking about Gentiles, like for example, the Apostle Peter sat with the Gentiles in Galatians chapter 2, and Paul cursed them out. Now, he didn't curse them out because these were other nations. He cursed them out because the Gentile Israelites had the customs of where they were born at and where they were raised. Just like us, we eat American food. We know how to go. We get pizza, which is American, Italian, whatever. We get a burger. We go to another country, we don't know what to order. So there's certain things where we have been somewhat Americanized. We don't wear a full long garment, the turban out. You got to kind of be incognito. So this is what the Gentile Israelites look like to the Israelites that grew up in a Hebrew Israelite household. So anyway, let me just go ahead and let this play. I don't want to make this long. You can listen to this from the beginning, but I just caught it right here, 3 minutes in.
That there are distinct laws that deal only with the Gentiles.
Basically, what Divine Prospect says is, he's in the Daniel 7, as you can see, and he says this is referring to Israelites during the covenant. Anytime it mentions strangers, it's talking about Israelites coming from outside the land. One law for the Israelites and one law for the strangers, which is in the Passover. Exodus 12. It mentions the Gentiles cannot partake of the Passover. Then another verse, it says, I believe it's the 19th verse, 43rd verse, and 46th verse. One of the verses says the Gentiles cannot partake. Matter of fact, let me go to it instead of yapping. So Exodus. What is it? 12. Exodus 12. Give me a second. Okay. So in Exodus 12, and I did lessons on this. Simply type in the word stranger. And this is what, Bishop Nathaniel doesn't go into these key words, so he gets stuck. That's why he can't see, he can't see the mark of the beast, because he doesn't go into the word mark in Revelation where it says charagma. Charagma is always a physical thing. It's not a spiritual thing. It's not hard. So I put in the word stranger, right? Exodus 12, verse 19, 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. Years ago, I had 2 boxes of leaven. I think last year's Passover, I don't think I had any. I might have had maybe a small package with leaven in it, ingredients leaven. So we changed as far as the way, that the bread and the cookies and this and that. It says 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Yasha'Allah, whether they be a stranger or born in the land. So what does this mean? It's talking about the Israelites whether they be a stranger or born in the land, whether they be an Israelite born outside the land, because being born in the land, what's the opposite of being born in the land? Being born outside the land. So they call Israelites that knew that they were Israelites living in other lands that will come pursuant to Deuteronomy 16 and 16. So these are, I don't got to click on this, but I'm going to click on it anyway. The word there would be gar, or should be gar. Stranger, gar. That means Israelite born outside the land of the Levant, we'll call it. So let's move one down. So in the 19th verse, it's talking about Israelites born outside the land. 43rd verse, and also the 48th verse. I said the 49th verse. And Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. But wait a minute. 19th verse, it says you can eat it. You can eat the Passover, but you got to take the leaven out. So obviously, now let's see what this is. The word is not going to be God. The word is going to be nakar. Let's see if I'm correct. Thanks to the blue letter. Nakar. That means somebody born. That means another nation. 48th verse. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee and will keep the Passover. This is a gar, an Israelite born outside the land. Passover of Yahweh. Let all his males be circumcised. Like if you didn't you was outside the land, you know that you're Israelites. You didn't circumcise your sons. Okay, look, you're gonna keep the Passover. You got to circumcise your sons. If not, you can't keep the Passover. Now that came up in the Jerusalem Council in Acts 15. Peter said, no, you don't have to worry about that. Just get this truth. So we know that this is talking about Israelites. One law shall be for him that is born in the Levant, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. What is it talking about? Israelites. So, Captain, what's his name? Captain Divine Prospect, Captain Terrific. Anyway, let's come on back here. I was just watching Yaki. I gotta get the formula for that gorilla mix. Hey, type in Yaki right here. Yaki. That's if you can't see it, or YAHKI. He got a mix called a gorilla mix. I gotta get. He don't want to give out the recipe. I'll figure that shit out though. Anyway, let's go.
The Israelites do not touch, and the reason for that is because the word Kodesh represents their set-apart nature. So, because of the token of the covenant, which is circumcision, and their lineal
Kodesh is actually Kodash, which is holy.
Connection to Abraham.
He's talking that Yitzhak Perlman Hebrew.
Right, who received the covenant. They are the covenant bearers, right? Gentiles are not covenant bearers.
How about the new covenant? Is that for Israel too, or is that for Israel and the heathens? That's my question.
Gentiles can always leave the covenant with Yah and go back to their gods, their nation. Israelites cannot do that. We only have one God. We're part of one nation. Doesn't matter where we else we try to integrate at. We always have that one God, one nation, and circumcision is going to be our token to represent that. So now Jesus is using, Yahushua is using this language that we see. This is rife with tropes from the Tanakh or the Old Testament, right? So we have the omens that he refers to, to the concept of the Son of Man. And so any saints that are there, these are referring directly to the Israelites, because this is who Jesus came from based on his own words in Matthew 15 and 24. So any Gentiles would be faith-believing Gentiles that are cleaving unto Israel. So this message is not directly to Gentiles. It is aimed directly to Israel. Now, when we get to Paul, it's a little bit different, right? Because Paul's now including the Gentiles into the saint.
That's where he goes off. Romans 11, it says, I am the apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify my office. The Gentiles in Romans 11, I'm an apostle of the Gentiles, Israelite, foreigners, and a Gentile state of mind. And I'm going to go further out. He went to, he took 3 major journeys, but 5 altogether, but there was 3 major ones. When you do the research, they'll say, oh, 3. No, it was actually 5. 3 major journeys, mainly to, Corinth, Ephesus, Colossus, Macedon, these places, which was north of Antioch, Rome. He went to Rome. He went to Athens. When he encountered the men of Athens, they were not Edomites. They were Israelites. They were your so-called black consciousness community back in the day. Sarnetta was probably there with a camera, talking shit. Everything reincarnated.
But Jesus is very clear, Yahushua is very clear who his particular audience is, and when he's saying this, there are only Jews around him, no Gentiles. So hopefully that helps to sum up that.
No, it doesn't sum up anything, because the Great Commission is not Matthew 28:19. Matthew 28. The Great Commission is Matthew 10. What did the Lord do after he gathered the 12? He mentioned the 12 from the first verse to the 5th verse. Then in the 5th, 6th, 7th verse, he says, "Oh, when you go out, don't teach them Gentiles, don't teach them Samaritans, but teach the Israelites and tell them about the kingdom of heaven." So anytime you come across the word, let me put in the word Gentile. Do a little experimentation type thing. Gentiles. (129 times in 121 verses in the Old and New Testament. We're going to go straight to New Testament. From the rising of the sun, name of the great among the Gentiles. These were Israelites. These, after these things, do the Gentiles seek. These are actual Gentiles. Rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy 2 verse 15. A workman needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So this is how you divide the world, because Christians say, well, it says Gentiles. Yes, but it's talking about Israelites. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles. These are talking about the other nations. Don't go to the other nations. He said that in the 10th chapter. Why would he say in the 28th chapter, oh, go to the nations now? Because those nations in Matthew 28 are the Israelites scattered. And that job was laid on the lap of Paul. Let me see, 2018. Okay, a testimony against them and the Gentiles. These are the actual Gentiles. I will put my spirit on him, and he will show judgment to the Gentiles, Israelites. That goes back to Isaiah 12 and 21. And in the name shall the Gentiles trust, the Israelite foreigners. The first one was Cornelius. He was an Israelite. His family was an Israelite. Matthew 20:19, and shall deliver him to the Gentiles and other nations. You got to know how to decipher. You got to know how to, take out, you eat some meat, you got to know how to take out the bone. But the Messiah called them unto him and said, ye know that the prince of the Gentiles or the nations exercise dominion over them. Scribes and Pharisees condemn him to death and shall deliver him to the Gentiles, the Romans. Well, actually, Herod. And then from Herod, he went to the Romans. Let me see, that which accounted to rule over the Gentiles. A light to lighten the Gentiles. Those are Israelites. A light to lighten the Gentiles. For he shall be delivered unto the Gentiles, other nations. Romans. Esau, Herod, and then the Romans. Remember, when he was accused, he was first taken to Herod. Jerusalem shall be trodden down to the Gentiles, the other nations, until the time of the Gentiles, the other nations, be fulfilled. They're over there making a mess over there in Levant. So Most High going to send fire on them. The king of the Gentiles exercise lordship. Those are actual Gentiles. Will he go disperse among the Gentiles to teach the Gentiles? Whither would he go? Will he go unto the disperse among the Gentiles, the Israelites, and teach the Israelites? Vocab says, he's going to go among the disperse of Israel, and he's going to say, are you an Israelite? Yes. I'm not talking to you. What are you? I'm an Edomite. I'm going to teach you. No. He will go disperse among the Gentiles, Israelites, and teach the Gentiles. Because when they came to the Americas, the Northern Kingdom, there was no one there. No one dwelt there. So how was they able to live among the Gentiles? Parted with the Gentiles and the people of Israel were gathered together. For of a truth against thy holy child, the Messiah, whom thou hast anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate with the Gentiles and the people of Israel were gathered together. Yeah, they were gathered together to condemn him. And you niggas that condemned him, you're going to get fucked up. Word to your mother. Acts 7 verse 45. Which also our fathers that came after brought in with Joshua, second in command of Moses, into the possession of the Gentiles, which is the land of Canaan, whom the Most High drave out before the face of the fathers. Those Gentiles were Canaanites specifically, unto the days of David. So we don't got to read no more. Well, this is important. And they of the circumcision, the Jews, which believe, were astonished, and many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also Israelites, started with Cornelius, also was poured out the gift of the Holy Spirit. On who? On Israelites in the Gentile state of mind. I don't got to read no more. I'll read this last one. And the apostles and brothers that were in Yahweh heard that the Gentiles had also received the word of God. Which Gentiles? Israelite. And that were raised up as Gentiles. How many more precepts we got here? Christians go to this too, Ephesians 2 and 11. And they, that's talking about the Gentiles. No, it's not talking about the Gentiles. It's talking about Israelites in the Gentile state of mind. See, you don't know how to decipher the Bible. Decipher meaning break the circle if you don't know. Okay, let's talk about without the temple. They were given to the Gentiles. These are Gentiles. So anyway, I said I was going to make this relatively short. Shalom, on to the next.